Hello, oh, god damn it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday stream. Sorry that ooh, let me turn that music down a little bit. Okay, there we go. That should hopefully be a little better. Hey, how's it going, Dubs? Yeah. So, apologies that there was no proper stream on Saturday, even though I said there would be. To be fair to myself, I said there would likely be, and technically speaking, I did stream. It was only for maybe 30 seconds, and to tell you guys that I wasn't streaming, but it was still...
I'm okay, and you?
Technically a stream. I'm good. I am doing good. Like I said, this weekend was great. Yeah, so I'm sad I missed stream on Saturday, but I wouldn't change it for the world. So in case you missed any of the announcements that I had made about it, Saturday was the Pride celebration here in the city that I live in, and Mana and I, as well as a couple other people, were vendors at the celebration. So we got there early in the morning, got set up, and were there pretty much the entire day. And we did great. That's not the only reason that it was a good day, but it definitely helped. We were networking and meeting people and making sales before we were even done setting up. Like we had basically, like, we got our tables out, we got our tent set up, and as we were putting products out, people were already coming up and being... And
is the short stream also coming on YouTube?
Probably not. I debated on it, right? So, like, obviously, so I have my stuff set up to where every stream gets recorded onto my hard drive as well, so I can just upload it directly, and I don't have to, like, save the VOD from Twitch and then upload that to YouTube. So technically speaking, I do have the VOD for it. I could just for the shits and giggles to have like a 10-second stream up for Saturday. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll do it. Why not? It's archive. It was a stream. It was footage.
XD.
So yeah. So why not? Sure. But yeah, it was a long day. It was a hot day, which was really the only reason we left when we did. There were still a couple hours left in the festivities, but there weren't too many people left, and the people that were there were more there for some of the other stuff that was going on. The performances and like the stage stuff started happening. I think there was like a drag show or something going on, so a lot more people were on that than, you know, a lot of the vendors. Everyone had kind of done their shopping by that point. A lot of other people were starting to break down and head home as well. But yeah, we were actually late to set up. We were one of the last ones. We got there at 9:30, and we left at 5, I believe. 5:30 is when we started breaking down. So, long day, busy day, exhaustive day. So, as I said, apologies that, like, we started breaking down at, like I said, like 5:30, but we didn't get, home until maybe 6:40 6:30, 6:45, I think, is when that brief stream went out. So yeah, long busy day, and then like pretty much immediately after that we went out to dinner. So we weren't actually home until like 8. And most of us pretty much crashed right after that. We had a couple friends staying with us, which was also the other reason that I decided to just not like do a stream or anything, is because we had people here, and it would be a little awkward. Like even if I was like doing this professionally, like I don't think that day really would have changed at all. Like I had people here. I wasn't gonna just lock myself in my room and like do a stream of like Pokemon or whatever while I had friends here. So but yeah, it was a great day. Very successful day. Met a lot of phenomenal people, and like what I loved so much about that day was seeing so many people just happy, just comfortable and happy being who they are. And it sucks that, you know, a lot of people and just kind of society as a whole, still we have to like regulate these like, it has to be a day, it has to be a festival, it has to be a day, a specific day and time and place that a lot of people feel they're allowed to be that way, to be who they really feel they are, and to feel comfortable. And you know, it's still great that we have those spaces for people to do it, but you know, on the whole, it still sucks that there still seems to be like a separation of like, hey, it's cool that you're like that, but don't do it like all the time. Like, can you wait for Pride to do all that? It's like, no. So it was great seeing so many people. First of all, like, so it was my first time there. And so I had no idea what the turnout was going to be like, but it was big. It was a lot more people than I thought, which was good. It was it was a great turnout. So many different types of people, but like I said, everyone was happy, was comfortable. The other plus side was we got to see a lot of animals, and that was great. You know, a lot of people bringing their pets and everything. So a lot of dogs, of course, you know, and you know, all sizes and shapes and breeds and all that sort of stuff. One individual was walking around with a rabbit, with a little bun in like one of those like capsule backpacks, you know, with like the clear, plastic and everything. That was really interesting. Saw a pig, and I don't mean like, I saw some cops walking around. I actually didn't see any, which great. But yeah, there was just a whole pig. I was walking back from our booth to our vehicle because an earring that we were selling, one of them had fallen off the packaging, but I remembered seeing it. So I was walking back to the van to find it, and I see this group of teenage or young adult, what appeared to be females, kind of hovering around like a guy and something in a not a basket, but like a I feel so stupid. The word, I can't think of the word right now. It was a thing with wheels that he was pulling. A wagon. Oh my fucking god. In this like so these individuals like hovering over this like wagon, And like cooing and like hearing the usual like, oh, he's so cute, blah blah, he's so soft. And so I assumed, oh, okay, the guy's got like a dog or a puppy or something, like a pet. And then I as I'm walking past them, I look, and I literally I did a double take, and I stopped in my tracks, and I didn't mean to, but I just said out loud, I was like, that's a pig. And it was not even like a teacup pig or like a piglet or anything, a full-sized adult pig. Not pink though. It was like a dark gray. It was cute. And he was kind of I guess not. I don't know if what pigs have is fur or hair, but he had some of it, whichever one it is. Yeah, it was super cute. I didn't there were too many of them, and I was busy, so I unfortunately, like, I didn't stop and try to like interject wedge myself in there to pet the pig. But he was there, super cute. And then the guy was just like, well, and then just wheeled him off into Pride. I didn't see him the rest of the time, and I don't think anyone that was at our booth did either, because I definitely told them about it, but I didn't hear anyone else the rest of the day have any stories about meeting the pig. So, but yeah, it was an eventful day. It was a long, hot, exhausting, wonderful day, and I cannot wait for us to do it again next year. It was really amazing. Met a lot of amazing people. Hope to see a lot of those amazing people, because a lot of people liked what we did.
They coot until they rush you because they want to defend Tahir Piglins. Is Piglins right?
I think for English at least, most of the time that we refer to a young pig is usually a piglet, L-E-T. But there's so many specific words
okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. There's so many specific words for specific things. For all I know, pigling could be a thing. I don't know. Every animal has a different. Almost every animal has a different name for like the young version of it, and then there's also different words for like a group of them, right? Like there's famously like a large number of like crows or ravens is called a murder. Things like that, flocks, pods, all that sort of stuff. I wonder what a group of humans would be called by anything besides humans, because like I'm sure we would just call it like a group, or we would give it some nice
Idiots XD.
Yep. And if you look to your left, you'll see an idiot of humans attempting to cross a river when there is a bridge 20 feet further south from them. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, it was a great day. I hope to see a lot of the people that we saw there at our booth. That'd be super cool. A lot of people. We ran out of business cards twice. Not that I ran and printed more, but we're finally getting to the point where I think I do need to go get more printed. Back when we started, so we've been going with the business for about a year now. And a little over a year, we set up our booth at a local So they call it a vendor mall, but it's basically a flea market. Um, I actually don't know how. I don't know if other countries really have those or not. Um, or if you do, if they're even called the same thing. Like, if I. Like, when I say flea market, do you know what the fuck I'm talking about? If not, obviously, I will give a brief explanation. But, yeah, so we started our booth a little over a year ago. Just past our first year anniversary, and you know, pretty much right when we started, I went and got, it was like 500 business cards, like a little box from like Staples or something. And yeah, we're pretty much just about out. We, like I said, like we brought like a small stack of like what we had there, and then those ran out, so I ran to my van to get the ones that I had in there, and saved only like 10 for the like super emergency, and brought those back, and we, as far as I know, pretty much ran out of all those too. So yeah, a lot of networking, a lot of marketing. It was great. It was a really good day. I like I said, we met a lot of really cool people, and I hope to see them in the future, whether as customers or not. Me enjoying their presence is not contingent on the fact of whether they give us money or not. It's always nice just to have people there, and for people to talk to. So that was my Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Not really too many like stories. Nothing really like happened or anything. We
have flea markets, but only for a limited time sometimes. Haven't seen one in about the last 9 years, but they're around some we hear sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, they're like, even here, it's usually they're like, you have to know where they are, you have to go find them, sort of thing. And yeah, they are, normal flea markets are more of like an event. You know, they usually only happen like in like the summer months. You know, not too many happen like outside of that. Which I think is mostly because most flea markets like that I've gone to are usually like outside or in you know, very open spaces, with like some booths being interior, you know, like in a building somewhere, but for the most part it's generally outside. It's more of like a summertime thing. So okay, but you know what a flea market is, which is good. So when I say that we have a booth at a flea market, it's essentially just the easiest explanation.
We only can count 6 years because of reasons. Straight face.
So the place that we have a booth at is actually it's a company that has a really deceptive name, because the name has literally nothing to do what goes on inside, which is why we have 2 signs explaining what our business is. So essentially how it works is, so the company is called Cowboy Gyms, and their logo is a big cowboy, like tipping his hat. So if you have no idea what that is, which people around here didn't, and a lot of people still don't, because they see this place called Cowboy Gyms with a big cowboy sign, and generally they think, oh, okay, that's like a Western supply store, you know, like where you go to get like boots and hats and, you know, all that sort of cowboy Western, you know, clothing and memorabilia and stuff like that. Because we do have a lot of those stores around here too, like they exist. So a lot of people assume that that's what it is, which is a fair assumption. So we the store itself has that sign up, like the physical sign, but then underneath of it they have this big banner that says Cowboy Gyms, and for a while it was they had one that said Vendor Mall, and then people still weren't understanding, so they got rid of that one, and right now there's one that just says Flea Market, because technically speaking, yes, it is a flea market. Vendor Mall was more apt, I think, because so when you say flea market, generally people will assume it's temporary, or limited, which it also kind of is. But yeah, it's not so much flea market. It's so hard to explain, and this is why it's so difficult to explain. Essentially, here's how the business model works. Cowboy Gyms as a corporation
Limited
comes.
edition always sell better.
Fair enough. So, Cowboy Gyms, the company, rents out, like leases the space. And then inside of it, they mark off areas. Apparently, they change from location to location. The one at our place is each area, each booth is, I think, either 6x6 or 8x8 feet. So in anywhere from like 2 to 2.5 meters, basically, on each side. And you pay to rent those booths, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want to inside of those booths. Now, I say that, but there's a very large, like there is actually a very large limit on what you can do. So for you can basically do whatever you want as long as you have the proper certifications to do so for anything that may require it. For example, food, things like that. Like, you can't just sell food if you made it. You have to have, and believe me, I looked into it because there was some stuff that I was going to be making, and there's a couple vendors there that were doing it before the health department got involved because of a disgruntled ex-vendor. So there's a lot of laws on stuff like that. But essentially, you can sell whatever you want as long as you're legally able to within that booth space. So we started off, especially because of the price of the booth rentals, with just one, and that's all we needed at the time, because we had like a table, barely enough products to cover that tabletop to sell. But in the year since we started, we've gained friends, we've gained new products, we've gained customers, enough to where we are now basically we're at the front of the store, partnered with 2 other vendors, and so we now in total rent 6 spaces, I think. And we sell our stuff there. And we make epoxy resin products. And most of that stuff is all Mana, my partner. I do some like tabletop RPG props and stuff like that, like little fake potions and like demon contracts and things of that nature. So little kind of like nerdy knickknacks, and some spiritual stuff as well. Mana is, I believe, they identify as some sort of pagan. So a couple products to do with the like kind of spiritual side of things. Do I have any actually? So I do actually have a couple examples, although like over here in this corner, if you've ever seen this mess over here, um, these are these are all of the products that didn't cure correctly, and therefore couldn't be sold. But I think I could do enough. As oh my god, these are so gross. So something like this, for example. Oh, that's really pretty on camera, actually. A little like lotus candle holder. This is one of the things we sell. What else we got? All right. We got these like triple goddess moon, triple moon goddess trays, just for whatever you would want to use it for. Self-defense, some little self-defense things in various molds, like a cat, but you slip your fingers in there and you can kind of jab at someone. So stuff like that, you know, runs the gambit of all those sorts of things. So we do that. It's basically what we do. And like I said, we have a booth set up over at this location. Again, at this place called Cowboy Gyms. The other thing with it, however, is that so Cowboy Gyms is only open 3 days a week: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you know, that limits it a little bit, but also like pretty much everybody there, like their booth isn't, as far as I don't want to say everybody, but most of the vendors there, like that's not their full-time gig, you know. no one is successful enough to make enough profit at that place during the 3 days that we're open. I think maybe 8 hours that the location is open. I would imagine for that to be their only source of income. But yeah, like we have that. The events and like Pride and we've done a small handful of relatively local conventions recently, and those are usually like our big selling days. You know, week to week at Cowboy Gyms will fluctuate. Like a good weekend will maybe be like around $100 or so, but that happens every once in a great while. You know, enough to keep the lights on at the place, enough to keep it going, and you know, profitable enough to where we don't have to shut it down. Like it covers our costs. But hey, you know, we're still only in our first year. And you know, that's usually what they say about small businesses, is that it's if you can get through the first 2 years and you're still going, you will likely continue to do so. So, yeah, that's our whole thing. That's what we've been doing as as like basically our huge side project besides our attempt to get out of our 9-to-5s, which again is also why I stream as well. I've never hidden that. I've always been very open about the fact that while I do enjoy streaming and would likely be doing it regardless of how many people I have watching or liking or following or subscribing or anything like that, I would still be doing it because I enjoy it. But I am also hoping that eventually this channel gets successful enough to where I can make revenue off of it to lower my hours at the normal job I work at, if not quit it completely. But I will say, as I tell everybody that I say that to, very understandably has that look of concern of like, oh, you're going to quit your job to do streaming. And it's like, yes, eventually. I have said that I will not quit my job until Twitch makes me the same amount, if not more, than what I make at my job. Once I am like comfortable with a revenue stream from Twitch that is equal to or greater than what I make at my job, then and only then will I quit. Because as much as I admire people who take a full plunge into their hobby to attempt to make it their, their source of income, I also think it's pretty dumb to do so unless you have some sort of like major safety net in case things, don't fucking work out. 'Cause almost every single successful content creator that I've ever seen that gets asked the question about, well, how do I become successful on Twitch, on YouTube, on whatever? Every single success story is almost always, I don't know. I just did what I wanted to do and things kind of happened. Like almost everybody, like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, like the big ones on YouTube, like people on Twitch like Asmongold and Mizkif and all those sorts of guys. Every single one of them are like, I don't know, I just started doing this shit and then a lot of like it just kind of happened. So there is no trade secret, there is no one, there aren't even like a couple things you could say like, okay, if I do these things I am guaranteed to have success. That just doesn't happen. You could do everything correct and still fail. It's just gonna happen. It really is just luck. For the most part. That being said, there are still things that you have to do, like market research and all that sort of stuff like does exist for a reason. It's to see what sort of things do actually work. And the unfortunate truth is you could chug away and really, bear down and like do this shit every day, hardcore for years. And, you'll probably still see a modicum of success, but there's just a chance that you could be doing nothing wrong, nothing different than the big guys, and still just not see the same numbers as them because it just didn't. Or maybe there's just something about you that isn't the same. So a lot of it is luck, but it also is marketing and timing and things like that. If your goal to content creation is to make money off of it, one, I think you're already in it for the wrong reasons. I think it's fine to have it as a goal like I do. Again, I think to try and hide that fact, if that is what you're doing, or to try and say that it isn't, is just lying. I think most people, especially nowadays, who do start doing some form of content creation are doing it with at least some thought in the back of their mind being, well, if I make money off of it, because it's just a fact now. Like, people know how much people can make off doing this sort of stuff. And, I think we are seeing less and less, we're seeing less and less of those enormous success stories. But that goes for pretty much anything. You know, like when it's new and it has a boom in popularity, those few lucky individuals who were there at the beginning are usually the ones caught up in that wave of success. And then a lot of people coming after them are just chasing that same dream, right? And it just starts happening less and less as the market gets more and more saturated. Um, that's just how things go. I don't remember whatsoever why the fuck I started talking about all that. Anyways, at the end of the day, I hope this is successful. It's the channel's definitely doing a lot better than I thought it would in the first couple months. I started streaming on this channel like really consistently, I think in like the middle of March. And here we are in the beginning of June, coming up, already getting to like the middle of June. It's already the 6th. And, we are this close. We are one tiny, minuscule step away from becoming an affiliate. And, that is the real kind of starting point for me. We're at around 60 followers. Literally, the only thing I need to achieve before this channel is viable for affiliate status is I need to average 3 viewers, and right now we're about at 1.5 as an average, I think. So the only unfortunate thing about that is, that isn't something I can just, like, it's not like a one-day thing. It's not like a goal that I can just suddenly achieve. It has to be an average over time. So, we'll see. Again, stuff like that I think just comes with time and patience and doing the grind. And so I think I'm going to use that as the segue into the big announcement for today. If you follow any of the social medias, you'll know over the last, I think just yesterday and today, I said that there was going to be a big announcement today regarding the schedule, and so here it is. So the schedule as it stands and as fucking take 2. The schedule as it stands and as it has been since I started streaming has been 3 days a week. Monday at 6 p.m., Wednesday at 4 p.m., and then Saturday at 6 p.m. And it's been working fine. It's been nice. It hasn't been too overwhelming. It's been a decent pace. But I feel like it hasn't been enough. And I don't just mean in terms of it isn't enough, I need to do more to get to the affiliate or blah, blah, blah. It just hasn't been enough for me personally. I almost every day that I have off, like in between my days between streams, I want to stream. Almost every single day I'll come home or I'll be sitting here, bored and just like, I wish I was streaming right now. And some of that is because I save some of my hobbies, like the games I want to play and things like that, for stream. So there are often days where it's like, oh man, you know what? So recently, I was like, oh man, like I really want to play some Pokemon. Like I want to play Pokemon Blue. Oh, that's right. I'm saving that for stream. Okay, well I guess I'll wait till, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, before playing it. So there's a lot of that, and again, I know I don't have anywhere close to like the highest viewerships, anything like that. I don't have the biggest community or anything like that, but you know what? What I do have is still nice. And there are days where I just miss you guys. Like besides like it isn't just, oh, I miss streaming. I miss streaming today because I wanted to play that game that I'm playing on stream. A lot of times like I just miss this, what I'm doing right now, just sitting live, talking to you guys, and just being in it. I miss it. So starting today, because as you may have noticed, I went live earlier, 2 hours earlier than I normally do on Monday. And that is because starting today, the schedule is shifting from Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday to every day. We will see how it goes. But starting today until
surprised face.
Starting today, I will now be streaming every day at 4 o'clock Central Time. So whatever time it is for you right now, well, subtract 50 minutes, and whatever that time happens to be, I will be live every day at that time. I can't always guarantee long streams, because obviously I do have plans almost every day of the week. But yeah, it's I picked that time because it gives me enough time after I come home from my actual job to relax or to get stuff done that I need to, prepare for stream and get ready, have a stream, and then still have my evening as well. So that, stream isn't everything. It also gives me enough to where if I miss a day, it isn't going to be as big of a deal as it was if I was only streaming 3 days a week. Because anytime I missed a stream, in the last couple months, I felt really bad about it, because it's like, well, to me, I was like, well, I barely stream enough as it is, and now I'm taking like a whole day off, and it's going to be, 4 more like if I skipped a Saturday, that's, from Wednesday to the next Monday that I wasn't streaming. And I didn't like that. It was too long sometimes. But I'm also not big enough with my community and my viewership and all that sort of stuff to be comfortable doing unscheduled streams. And that part is because of the grind for affiliate, because again, like, I need those averages up. And if I don't have the clout yet to be able to just randomly stream and get a bunch of people in here. The schedule, I think, is what's been really helping. So what's going to help it more? Streaming every single day. So again, I can't promise, I'm not going to say a specific length of time for any stream either. I never have. Sometimes it's been, a 20-minute, half an hour stream, just because of either how I've been feeling.
Smiley face /
Well, there you go. And so actually that was that was actually a big influencing decision on the schedule change as well. Was my followers and viewers from across the pond, because I knew, like, I have like a decent amount of my community that is European, and a lot of them were saying like, yeah, like, I wish I could catch you, but it's just the time you go live is it's like midnight or 1 a.m. for me. And Wednesday was, the only day that I went live a little earlier. So hopefully that'll help some of the fans that are in different time zones. I would hope would take some of that FOMO off of you guys, the fear of missing out. You know, like, oh, like I have to be there on this day at this time to catch the stream, otherwise it's going to be days until I can watch again, or you know, before they go live again or anything. So this way, if you miss a stream, it's okay. I'll be live the next day, same time. You know, so I feel like a more busier schedule will actually allow for more freedom. Because again, like if a day is missed, it's whatever. If a stream is earlier or later, you know, again, whatever. So yeah, I'll be updating all of the.
Cromlin if you see Pahilti sleep schedule seriously XD.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I try and appease as many people as possible, while also fitting into my own schedule and keeping my own mental health and things like that in mind. So that is, you know, definitely another caveat. You know, again, I've always been very open about my mental health and things like that on this channel. And, you know, it is my stream. I am not, you know, no one tells me when to go live or how often to go live or for how long. That's still all under my control. So, you know, I will be implementing this schedule. But for all I know, I could decide differently by the end of the week and just be like, you know what, that's actually a little too much. But for now, I've had that drive, I've had that want to go live for at least a little bit every single day, so I'm going to. So yeah, that was my big announcement for the day that I wanted to get to. Hopefully I have no idea where that was going. I just wanted an excuse to do that. But yeah, all of the I'll change the like the background on my channel and basically anywhere where the schedule is, it'll be changed and all that. So the other reason I wanted to do that is to have more chances to do different things on the stream, because only streaming 3 days a week really limited what I could do on the stream. You know, because if we had anything long form, like a Pokemon Nuzlocke playthrough, or when I was playing Elden Ring, you know, it was like, oh, I kind of have to stick with this one thing because it's going to take me so long to get through. And I'm only live essentially 6 to 8 hours a week, maybe. Around 10. We'll say like around like 10 hours a week. And that's not really enough time to get... It's going to take a long time to get through any decently long game during that time, right? So now, if I'm streaming every single day, we can get those long form things done a little quicker. Maybe we can designate specific days for specific games. The only reason I hesitate on something like that is because I know me, and if I suddenly start forcing myself to play things on specific days, if it comes to that day and I just don't feel like doing that thing, it's going to start making playing that game or doing that thing feel more like a job than it is something I want to do. So, you know, I'll still kind of be taking it day to day of like, oh, today I'll play Pokemon, today I'll, you know, do this or we'll do that, and it'll kind of just be a day to day sort of thing. Unless there is, you know, something specific that I have planned or that we're gonna do, which of course there's a lot of ideas that I've had of things to do besides just playing video games. because for the most part so far, this has essentially been a gaming channel, right? Like most days end with like the main content for the day is me playing some sort of video game. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. And it's, you know, but it's good. It's a good introductory thing because like basically anybody can stream their games. A lot of platforms have made it very easy to be able to do that. But I don't want that to be everything we do. I don't want it to be the only thing I'm known for. You know, if you check all my social, you know, like the Facebook, the Twitter, things like that, I say that I'm a variety streamer. And on the whole, I think that's still accurate. There have been plenty of streams where we've gone the entire time without playing a game. But they're easy. And, you know, I like playing video games. So, obviously, it's been a thing that we've done a lot. But I don't want it to be the only thing we do. Which actually specifically why my name, the name of the channel and everything wasn't, you know, I didn't make it Sirius Brightstar Gaming or just Sirius Gaming or anything like that. It's just Sirius Brightstar. It's me. And so it'll be whatever I want it to be. Speaking of, there's something I've been meaning to try. And mostly the only reason I haven't is because of that. I don't know if it shows up for you guys. I'm pretty sure it does because it does whenever I look at the YouTube videos. See that like green and kind of there, and usually sometimes around my face there's a green. That's because of the lights in the room. Apparently certain types of light affect certain cameras, and it causes this kind of green artifacting to it. Which is why I haven't done something. But I fucking bought the thing. I spent the money on it. So I'm gonna try something. And we're gonna see how it goes. I may have to adjust the camera a little bit afterwards, but let's try a little experiment, okay? Okay, I gotta move some shit around. Fucking broken ass monitor. I only can see you. Hi. Okay. I gotta get some cords out of the way. I was trying to... Oh, this was so fucking annoying. I was gonna print some stuff out for Saturday. On the off chance we got like commissions and things like that. We had some commission forms that I typed up, as well as like signs and a couple other things. And it turns out, like last week, I have a Canon, just a regular printer. It's just like a Canon Pixma printer. Canon apparently sent out a software update that caused only like 3 or 4 very specific models, one of which was the one I have, to be caught in a reboot loop. So basically, like the other day when I turned the printer on to print, it booted up. I heard it, like adjusting the ink head and everything, and then I heard it turn off, and then it turned back on and went through the whole process again, and it just kept fucking doing that. And I looked it up, and like I said, apparently it was some update that that Canon had sent out that messed up these printers, and unless you knew like really specific things about networking, you just wouldn't be able to fix it. Like every article said, hey, this is the thing that's happening. Unless you know how to do these things, we recommend not touching it and just waiting for Canon to put out like an official thing. So that sucks. so basically until they fix it, I just don't have a fucking printer. Which is great for someone who prints a lot of things. Because I don't know if it's ever been on camera, but I have a Cricut as well. Not the Bug, but the little like cutting machine. And that's great, but I need to be able to print things in order to cut them out. Do you see my problem? So that's been real great for someone whose hobbies are creative and rely on those sorts of things. Alright, anyways. Oh, I've never shown you guys my lightsaber either, have I? Well, it's not charged right now, so I won't, but I do have a lightsaber. Okay. Let's see if we can get this thing set up, huh? I have before, and then I didn't. And that's that whole story. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't. I tried it on my stream before, and like it went okay. I just didn't really have a ton that I was doing with it, so I didn't bother. All right. Let's move that as well. Oh, right, because one of the fucking corners is busted. Fucking almost $200 for this thing, and it barely works. Okay. Alright. What the fuck is happening? Okay. God damn it. Okay, there we go. I have a green screen.
Have you seen the first real lightsaber?
There it is. Have you seen the first real lightsaber? Yes. I don't remember the name of the channel, but if it's the same YouTube channel that I'm thinking of, then yes. They have a couple models, but it's the ones that are basically a I don't want to say flamethrower, but they're almost like a plasma cutter.
Hecksmith.
I remember that one. I remember one that was basically just like a superheated piece of metal that looked like a lightsaber. Hecksmith. I don't remember the name. Where did I put my headphones? Oh. Let me look it up real quick. And then I'll get to all that shit. Wow, that looks bad. Okay, we'll adjust. Let me look this thing up first. See, that's the content for later. Let's go to YouTube. Go to view. Or is it Hacksmith? Yeah, it's Hacksmith.
Schultz.
Mr. Beast paid me all this money.
Is this the... Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so I've seen these. I've seen a lot of their stuff before. I'm not subscribed to them. Here, let me. Yeah, these guys. Yep. Yeah, I've watched their stuff before. I really like them. Just not enough to like subscribe. Like I'll basically do what I'm doing now. Is like every once in a while, I'll let the videos build up and then I'll go back and like watch a bunch of them. Is this? Yeah, because I remember the guy. Yeah. Yep, I've seen these before.
Did the
Really?
MR Beast video FET by them ever came out yet? Did you notice Sam's hang there?
Yeah, I think it's some of their most recent one, which came out 3 weeks ago, says that they made Hulkbuster fists for Mr. Beast, as well as a lightsaber, it seems. Yeah, that's pretty fucking incredible. That is awesome. Okay. We're gonna try some stuff. Let's see. Let's see something. Please let me know if me ever doing a German accent is offensive. I say it is not because of you or anything. I just do it sometimes. And I apologize if it's offensive. Okay, what is happening now? Alright, everything happened all at once. Okay. Now... yeah. I don't look too bad.
Peronali, I don't care.
Good. Because honestly, it wasn't going to change. You know what? Let's get a... I need some sort of background image. I need something to... Nope. You know, we need an image to be in the background. Do I want to just make... Okay. For now, I'm just going to make it, well, that. But put it where it's supposed to be, which is in the back. All right. Now we go to filters. And we're going to add a color key. And then, okay, so it's set to green. Why aren't you working as well as I thought it would? Yes, green. Well, okay. Custom color, I guess.
A question though, what are typical stereotypes you heard about Gemini/Germans?
Dry humor and a, typically speaking, no nonsense attitude, although that is usually mistaken for a lack of humor instead of just a very specific type of humor. Those are usually the typical stereotypes about Germans that I see / hear. Okay, guess that's not happening. Okay. Well, that took care of some of it. Let's add another color key. And we're going to do another custom color because the green just wasn't working. Okay, that takes care of a lot too. Even more. Gotta be less. Okay. 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 I think one more should do it. Okay. There we go. Nope. Ooh, touch this. They always say to go and touch some grass, huh? There we go. There's me touching some grass. This little streak is really annoying, though. And I know why it's there. Okay. How's this for stream, huh?
Idea that checks out, I loud say. The dry and maybe dark humor.
Yeah, most Germans that I've seen in pop culture and things of that nature do tend to fall into at least some of those stereotypes. Not that that's bad. I actually enjoy a lot of like German and British style humor that a lot of other people of the world consider dry or dark. But I enjoy it. Look at all this space for activities. Oh, I need to check. Is this gonna work on every... It will. Awesome. Didn't know if it was gonna work on every scene. And it does, which is great. Except for this fucking pattern here. Alright, well, I'll fix it later. You know what's always... So, okay, like, obviously, so this is the famous Windows XP background, right? You know what's always annoyed me about it? You can so clearly see a line. Like, and not that this was... Because this was an actual... This was a photo that was taken. But you can see such a clear line, like, right here in the clouds, and it has always fucking bugged me. Oh, you know what? I need to... Okay. Minor adjustment. Hi.
Put yourself
Hello.
in the ocean, then you can say 'tis part of the scene XDXD. It's not tis.
Oh, actually, since I've got the background off, I could probably edit this. See, one more filter, one more color key.
Schultz.
Why are you not working? Okay, whatever. Fuck it. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Isn't that the question? It isn't. What? I thought I saved it there. Why are you not saving? Oh, because that's a really weird file type. Okay. How big are you? You're big enough. And a JPEG, which is what I can actually use. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. This is pleasant Woda. That's oh, Jesus Christ, what's going on with my keying? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. Okay. That does it, I guess. You can still see that line, but whatever. Like I said, I can fix it later. Okay. So, the title of the stream was a little intentionally misleading. I kind of hyped it up to make it seem like some new Pokemon types were announced or something like that. Just to see if it would help. It didn't. But it was only a misrepresentation. I mean, it seemed like there were new Pokemon types announced and we would be looking over them. That isn't the case. What is the case is this right here. Which, again, if you are unfamiliar with Pokemon, will probably look like a giant garbled mess. But it makes sense. So essentially what we're looking at is what's called a type chart. Basically a graph to very quickly determine for Pokemon types what is good, bad, neutral against something else. So for example, let's say you're playing Pokemon and you're using a fire type and you're up against a rock type, and you're like, I can't really remember if fire is super effective against rock, if it's weak against rock, or if it's neutral, right? So you come to something like this, a type chart, and so everything on the left, so the left-hand column is essentially what that's going to be the Pokemon that's attacking. The columns across the top are the Pokemon that is getting attacked. So again, in this case, we are the ones attacking as a fire type, wondering about how effective that's going to be against the enemy that's a rock type. So we go to fire, and then we go over until we get to rock. And we can see that fire is not very effective against rock, which means it's going to deal half damage. And that's basically it. That's essentially what a type chart is used for, is to quickly determine effectiveness. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a couple things I wanted to do. One of which is already done, and I kind of wanted to just discuss. And the other thing was to change some things, right? So today we're using... I found this website, dragonflycave.com. I don't know who set this up. I don't know the names of the people that did, but I'm happy that they did. Because while there are plenty of sites with type charts and ways to see custom typing and see their effectiveness and things like that, what I liked about this website and why it was good for the use that I needed it for was because it allows you the option of adding a new type and essentially being able to customize it however you want, as well as enable editing of the existing types. As you can see right here, if you click that box, which will enable you to edit existing types. Ooh. So the reason why I wanted something like that. So normally there's a different website I normally use for typing charts and things like that, and that is pkmn.com/help. Or I'm sorry, pkmn.help. Which is this website where you can put in, whatever you want, and it visually, updates it to show you, everything. So like the offense, the defense, a full Pokedex, and the individual or individuals who made this do have they have the source code just up on GitHub, so you could take it and mess with it and customize it as you wish. However, it's all mostly like JavaScript and HTML, and I don't know how to do any of that. So I was looking for a Pokemon type chart that you could customize, and I found this. So the reason I wanted this, and the explanation of the title of tonight's stream with the new Pokemon type. I believe I touched on this a little bit in one of my previous streams where I was talking about the original region that I come up with for a Pokemon 5th edition game. And although it's a recent development, one of the things that I wanted to add for that was a new typing of Pokemon. And the type that I always thought Pokemon would benefit from was a light typing. Because we've had Dark for quite a while now. I think Dark was introduced in Gen 2 along with Steel. And then the other newest one that we got was Fairy, the fairy typing, and I don't quite remember. I think fairy was introduced in Gen 6, which was X and Y. That sounds correct. And we haven't had anything since then, which I am also fine with. Like, the one thing that Pokemon does not need more of is bloat. And, with hundreds of new Pokemon coming out every generation, so essentially every 3 to 5 years, the last thing we need is another new typing to worry about as well, right? So I'm glad they do not come out super often, but it is a nice way to revitalize the genre, shake things up a bit. In line with something that would be used in my home Pokemon D&D 5th edition game, I decided to add the light type, essentially as a foil to the dark type, to represent a couple concepts that would be new, to add some more freedom of creativity into the Pokemon. But as well as, the basically the same thing that happens anytime a new typing comes out, to retype things that had come out previously. So like when they introduced Fairy, there were a lot of Pokemon. There were a lot of old Pokemon that got a new typing because Fairy had come out. Alongside that, kind of more with the thoughts of like the dark typing. What a lot of people don't know is, at least in Japan, I don't know about other languages. Maybe you can actually help me with this. So the type is called dark in America, in English speaking countries, but in Japan, the typing is actually sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. Pets are fighting like cats and dogs. In that one of our cats and our dog were fighting. They're fine though. Just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so in English speaking countries, the type is known as dark, but in Japan it's actually called evil. So that was also kind of my question for you, since you are German, and I would imagine the games that you get are in German, whether the typing translated to either dark or evil or something else. But yeah, so regardless of that, I wanted essentially the opposite. You know, I wanted a light type slash good, and but still separated from things like fairy, or even fighting, because a lot of the concepts behind the fighting type, again, are very Japanese in nature, and fighting usually, like the reason behind certain things having a fighting type or certain fighting moves are more based on the ideals of like justice and retribution and things of that nature. Trying to think of like an example. So fighting is super effective against the dark type, and that's why. You know, some of the other ones are pretty obvious. You know, fighting is, or ghost is immune to fighting because you can't punch a ghost. You know, it's super effective against rock and steel because you know, martial artists, you know, like breaking bricks and like bending steel, or you know, like bending metal. I guess I think the reasoning behind the ice type, why fighting is super effective against ice, is the thought of, you know, martial artists and you know, things like that are usually very hardy in nature, and part of their training is, you know, staying in harsh environments as part of physical training. So I guess that, you know, but they're weak against things like poison and, you know, flying, you know, kind of hard to punch a bird. The bug, I don't necessarily understand. The only thing I can really think of is there are some decisions here where I'm like, I don't really get why fighting isn't effective against this, other than they just, for balancing reasons, because bug is an exceptionally terrible typing, something we're going to be looking at today. So I think they were just like, we'll make fighting not very effective against bug, just so that bug has like some viability as a type. But maybe there's something else there where, like, I don't know, maybe like martial artists and warriors are brave and stalwart, except when it comes to creepy crawlies. So getting down to it, obviously, if you're looking at this, you can see that I already have done the light typing, but I want to go through it with you. Also because it has changed, even in the couple days since I did, I guess, the initial draft of it. So, going with the concept that, so what would make a Pokemon a light type Pokemon? So again, is essentially the opposite of dark. You know, they represent good. They represent the more what we would consider celestial things. So things like angels and good spirits. Things like in some senses, like maybe healing. Although I think fairy and normal kind of take a lot of those things as well. Uh, and then of course, you know, just the actual concept of light. Um, you know, it's all very subjective. And I don't quite yet have any. I haven't made any original Pokemon yet that are like of the light type. But if we took a look at some existing Pokemon that I would consider to be of that typing, i.e., ones that will take on a light typing or a secondary typing of light in my game. Try and find one from Gen 1 that would make sense. Oh, could I have more than 50 on a page? No. Okay. See, and you, like fairy will like it's similar. It I'm having trouble coming up with like the words, but it's just it in some aspects is just kind of one of those like you'll know it when you see it sort of thing. You know, it is much more of like a feeling than it is anything. Not a ton from Gen 1 that I'm really seeing are like, oh yeah, that's a good example of something that would be better as a light typing or have one. Which isn't looking great for my argument. They really didn't give Chansey the fairy typing? That's surprising. If Starmie didn't have Psychic, I would say almost, but the Psychic does still feel better. Maybe Porygon? Maybe the Dratini family? But I don't think... I think Dragonite's Dragon Flying type still does okay. But maybe for these ones... Togepi, maybe. Some bugs, maybe. Man, I'm feeling real stupid that I'm like I'm at like 1 I'm at Blossom already, and I like can't really come up with a great example. Well, they really made Snubble and Gramble fairy types, huh? Yeah, I really feel like they probably should have just stayed normal, or maybe even fighting. Well, anyways. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through every single one. Okay. Looking at the light type offensively. So and the nice thing is like there are these summaries at the end. So in total, 3 types resist light, and there are 4 types that are weak to light. And then defensively, and we'll go over details, but so defensively, there are 5 types that are not very effective against light, and 2 types that are super effective against it. So let's go through them. So again, defensively, first one, electric. Or I'm sorry, this will be. Yeah, so this is offensively. Apologies. So light is not very effective against electric types because it is such a similar concept in terms of offense. And also for balancing. So light isn't very effective against electric types. And it's also not very effective against fairy types, nor light. Light is resistant to itself. So I had them not very effective against fairy because of their similarity. Both represent, more of the positive side of things. The thought of using an attack that is meant to, harm things that are corrupt, that are unclean, that are not good. Fairy's too close to those things to for the light type to be effective against it. So fairy resists light. So the things that
for a bit.
You're good, buddy. So the things that light is good against, the poison type, psychic, ghost, and of course dark. Oop. There we go. So all the things that are considered unnatural, that are considered, literally speaking, obviously, dark, evil, corruptive, unnatural. I think I already said that. So of course, light is super effective against the dark type, super effective against ghost, because, again, more traditionally and generally speaking, you're not going to see ghosts in the light. They're going to be harmed by it. So of course, light is super effective against ghost. I have light
Hey
being.
man, how's it going? Apologies, I haven't been around much.
Oh.
Had an obsession the past few weeks with history, so I've been binging documentaries as much as possible.
Oh, that's so cool, dude. Yeah, hey Gumber, I missed you, buddy. Yeah, I was just thinking about you today as I was like thinking as I was like planning stream and going live. I was like, I haven't seen Gumber in forever. So hey, now that you're here, you missed my big announcement. So change to the streaming schedule. So for the longest time, like since I started streaming, it was Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Starting today, and for the foreseeable future until something changes, I'm going to be streaming every single day. Every day, starting at 4 my time. So essentially subtract around... I've been live for almost 2 hours. Basically the time that I would go live on Wednesdays. I will now be going live at that time every day. So 4 o'clock Central Time, if you need to do some math or look up anything.
Oh, cool. What
Yeah.
brought this around, if you don't mind me asking?
I was tired of not streaming as much. It really honestly just came down to almost every single day between streams, I would be sitting at home or at work and just being like, man, I really want to stream right now, or I want to stream today. Like, I want to stream when I get home or whatever I was doing. I was like, man, I kind of just want to go live right now, but it's not on the schedule, so I won't. Because I'm not at that clout level yet to where I'm very confident in just randomly going live outside of my normal times. I don't feel like I have enough people interested yet that would tune in anytime I went live. So yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go live for at least a little bit every single day in, for me, the afternoon. Because it gives me enough time to...
Yeah, I get what you mean. But hey man, if this works for you, then it's all good.
We'll definitely see. I know, obviously I understand the potentiality for burnout. But for the moment, I stream on my own schedule. So, I can, if it does, I'm trying it for now. It, for all I know, we could get to the end of the week and I'm already like, you know what, this is a little too much. And we'll scale from there. I may go live for a day and only stream for like 30 minutes if I'm not like super feeling up to it, we'll just see. But yeah, like I missed like all of those days where I'm not streaming. I just wish I was, for a variety of reasons, whether it was to play whatever game we were doing on stream or just to be here with you guys and just chit-chatting. Throwing my voice out there into the void and seeing who listens. But yeah, so we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, that's the plan for now. Yeah, and also the timing, the time slot that
Just
I
do
chose.
what you're comfortable with, dude. Even if it's just a short stream like you say, it's still a little time. You can say, yeah, I did get on for 30 minutes and that was fine.
Exactly. Yeah, so I also chose the time with some of my community, like you and like Dubs up there, the one with all the W's in their name. I kind of did the time with you guys in mind too, because I like have a decent amount of my active community that's across the pond, as they say. And obviously I know like my normal time going live is like midnight, sometimes like 1 a.m. for you guys. And obviously this is only a 2-hour difference. It's still going to be like relatively late at night, but I hope it'll at least make it a little easier for you guys to both tune in and to actually stay for like a little longer, instead of, being like, hey, I'm here, but like I may just pass out. I hope it'll make it a little easier for you guys. So yeah, welcome back. I for sure understand the history obsession. Both Mana and I really love history documentaries. Usually like a lot about like World War II and things like that.
Lately,
so
that won't be an issue. Haha, little one ain't sleeping again.
oh, I'm sorry to hear it. Just because, or I hope they're not sick or anything. We've been doing a lot of Pokemon the last couple weeks. The last week or two, I've started a Pokemon Blue Nuzlocke, which we may do a little bit of today. Clearly, we're doing some Pokemon stuff now, so hope you're interested in that, because that's content right now. is Pokemon shit. I don't quite know where you jumped in at, but we're looking at typing. I've added a new type of Pokemon, the Light type. So I was kind of describing it and going over its weaknesses and strengths. And then here in a little bit, we're also going to take a look at some other types and potentially change some things around to
Plus needed a little
make them a little
Twitch
better.
away time. I go through phases
Yeah.
like this, especially when I wear myself down and fixate on wanting a PC. So if I'm quiet for a bit, it's all good, but I've just hit a wall sort of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm the same way. In the last, I don't know, couple months, for sure, like within the last year, with what I've been seeing from some friends and things of that nature, I'm like 90% sure that I have an undiagnosed ADHD, because there's just a lot about me that I thought, like throughout my life was just me. Like, it's like, oh, okay, it sucks, but like these certain personality traits they're just me. Or maybe they had something to do with like my depression or anxiety disorders. And then I had a couple friends who just started posting a lot of like ADHD memes, and like every time they would list stuff about like, this is my this is my ADHD. I'm like, oh, I do a lot of that. Unfortunately, I live in America, where healthcare costs a lot. And generally speaking, even just going to a specialist to get to potentially get a diagnosis is like around $200. I've got a doctor's appointment scheduled soon.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm waiting for a test for autism myself, so I know
Gotcha.
what you mean about picking up on habits ECT.
Yeah, and so like one of the biggest things that has like always haunted me throughout my life is I will hyperfixate on something, like, hobby related, and I will get super into it for anywhere for like a week to a month to maybe even a couple months, and then just I'm done. There have been very few things that have lasted longer than that. One of them is Dungeons and Dragons and like tabletop gaming as a whole. That hooked me and has stuck around.
PC.
Gotcha. Yeah. I was lucky enough to like basically the rig I'm using was a custom built thing, but it was a friend who just gave it to me because he built something better.
To get out that fix.
Yeah, and it's so I always have to tell myself, because it's so difficult to know. It's like, okay, is this thing I'm getting into a legit thing, or is this just I'm fixating on it because I don't have it, but then as soon as I get it, I'm not going to care about it anymore. And that sucks when so many things are expensive, and like getting into a new hobby is always the most expensive part. And so there have been so many different times where I'm like, ooh, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. It's all I'm thinking about. But hey, if I spend all of this money getting into it and then drop it, I'm going to be real pissed at myself. So there's definitely been a few fixations that I've just had to push past. And I have learned my lesson. There's definitely been a couple things that already I'm like, oh, okay, I'm glad I didn't give in to those urges, because yeah, I haven't even thought about that thing for months. Like a year or two ago, it was I really wanted an airbrushing machine to paint like miniatures and terrain and stuff like that. I wouldn't be doing that anymore. I did buy like a small kit to do for making terrain for cutting like foam and things like that. Never even opened it. It's just sitting in my basement somewhere. Yeah, very the recent one that I had thought about earlier this year was a 3D printer. It's happened a couple times now. And not that I don't think I would use it at all, but I definitely wouldn't use it as much as I think I would, and definitely not as much for how much it costs to like get into it. And also, thankfully, I have enough friends who do have 3D printers that are like legitimately into it, that if I ever get that urge, it's usually for a specific thing or set of things I want printed. I can just ask them. And most of the time they give me like good prices. You know, it's usually just like cost of materials because we're friends and things like that. So, yeah, 3D printer was one. I mean, this streaming stuff, like this was a big, leap of faith as well. 'Cause you know, if you want to be an even like decent quality / successful streamer, you need decent quality stuff. And boy, is video equipment not fucking cheap. You can get relatively cheap things, obviously, but there's certain things that if you want to be successful and look good, you just can't really cheap out on. Or even then, there are some things that just, even the cheap versions of them aren't, like, on the whole, cheap. You know, microphones. You know, a cheap, decent microphone is still going to be like around $100, which I do have. And then this. The microphone I'm using is basically, I'm sure you've noticed, the microphone that like literally everybody uses. And it is, I think, like $400. This is a Shure SM7B. Which, real quick, I'll show you. Yeah, $400 microphone. It's worth it. It's worth every single penny. As I'm sure you could tell, like, the audio quality is fantastic. But it's still a $400 microphone. This arm that I'm using, the mic arm, was $100. Green screen, I think, was like, I think $160. But this is pretty medium tier, I think, because it's a collapsible one and it comes in a whole fucking thing. You know, it's not just one of those like pop-up ones. Pretty much the only thing I quote unquote cheaped out on, just because I had to, is the camera and the ring light. The camera that I use is a like $20 webcam. But it's 1080p and it says it can film in 60 FPS, but I think I tried it once and the lag was too bad. So it's not the best camera, and I know that. And like the ring light that I got again was like a $10 or $20 one that I got at like Staples. So, you know, those sorts of things are like, hey, it works, and for now, that's what I like. That's what I need. I just need it to work. Yeah, but like most of this stuff, most of my streaming equipment was, again, like it's not cheap. Some of it was, kind of piecemeal over time. But thankfully it is worth it, and it's been working. Some of that because, a lot of my drive for streaming definitely is, hey, you spent this much money on this shit, you better use it. But yeah, the streaming was a fixation. What was another one? Elden Ring was a recent one. I was super into Elden Ring, and now I'm like, the last time I played it was on stream. If that's any indication. Did you discover me when I was? Is that when you came on when I was playing Elden Ring? I forgot who it was that kind of joined the channel and like was talking in the community when I was playing Elden Ring. It was someone. Anyways, but yeah, I definitely get it. Like I'll get super fixed on something for like a month or two, and then it'll just fizzle out, and then I'm just angry that I spent all the money on it.
I think it was, but I cannot remember.
Okay, there was someone. I was playing Elden Ring, and I was doing one of the Tibia Mariners. I was doing one of those fights, and I remember, like, someone came on, and we spent, like, a bunch of time talking. But if that wasn't you, then it was someone else who I also haven't seen in the community for a little bit. But, yeah, I get it. is essentially what I was saying. And so, like, right now, I know I am in the middle of a hyperfixation with Pokemon. I don't remember what it was that started it. I don't think there was anything specific. I think there was just, like, a day on stream where I had nothing to do. And then I remembered that I had Pokemon Blue on my PC. So I was like, you know what? We'll play that and just see how it goes. And then I really liked it. And then I remembered all of this work that I put into something. And then, like, the other day, Mana and I were out, and I was like, I caught sight. We were in GameStop, and I caught sight of Pokemon cards, and I was like, don't. I was like, maybe we'll take a look. If Mana would want to play with me, I'll for sure, like, we'll go ahead and buy something where we can both play and do it that way. But I'm trying to not let a card game come into the mix as well, because again, I know me. I will hyperfixate on it. I'll spend
something about Kingdom Hearts, but I think I'd already been here before then.
Yeah, I was doing the tier lists. I was doing the tier list for Kingdom Hearts. I don't know if that's when you came in. I remember you there for it. I think that was you who was like, hey, cool content. I have no idea what's going on, but it's neat. Yeah, or maybe I was just discussing it one day or something. I don't know. Oh, actually, you know what I can look at? I can look at when you followed. Well, I'll have to look it up somewhere else. Because the follows on the little mini feed that I have on Streamlabs only goes back 16 days. So hey, you've been following the channel for like probably close to a month now. That's awesome. But yeah, I'll have to check at some other point. But yeah, so current fixation is gonna be Pokemon. And I'll give another. I talked about it the other day, but I'll give another explanation as to like what we're doing right now. I don't remember if I've. Obviously, I know I've brought the subject up before, but I can't remember if I asked you specifically. Are you into, or at the very least, know about and understand Dungeons and Dragons / like tabletop gaming? Because that'll determine how much I need to explain.
To a small degree.
Okay. As long as you understand like the basic concepts of it, I don't need you to understand like the mechanics or anything. Just, it's a game where you sit at a table with friends, you role play, you roll dice, and things like that, right?
It's been a while since I played D&D or something similar.
Oh, but you have played. Okay, so you understand what tabletop gaming is. So a couple years ago, I've been playing D&D / tabletop games in general for just over a decade now. I was definitely not one of those individuals that started like when I was a kid or anything. I was for some people considered a late bloomer into it. I was introduced to it in college by a couple friends. Like I knew about tabletop gaming, of course, and I knew about Dungeons and Dragons, but at the time, I was still one of those people that was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I play video games, and I write. I've written fan fiction and shit before, but I don't know if I'm enough of a nerd to say I play D&D." Super glad I did. Super glad I got over that stupid mindset. Absolutely fell in love with it as soon as we started playing, and so that was in 2011. What the fuck was I saying? Here's the other part of ADHD. I have such terrible short-term memory. So I've been playing for a little over a decade. Couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, I think it was around the time that Sword and Shield came out. For Pokemon, and my wife and I were playing it, so again, of course, like my hyperfixation at the time was Pokemon, and I just had the thought of like, what would be so much fun is a tabletop Pokemon game. I knew it didn't exist in any official format because I would have been all over that shit before that. So I looked up online to see if anyone had made a tabletop Pokemon game, and there were two that I found. The first one that I found is, at least for me, and I knew for my friends group, was gonna be a no-go because it was so crunchy in terms of there was a lot of math to do, because I don't remember the name that the creators of that system gave it. I think it was called like Pokemon Unite or Pokemon Unity, something along those lines. The problem that I had with that was, like I said, it's a very number crunchy system because as I was looking over the rulebook and everything, I was like, they essentially just took the game and are now making you as a human do all of that math. Like, yes, there were rolls, but like the damage, the catch rate, the HP calculation, all of that sort of stuff that like the Pokemon game does because it's being run by a fucking computer, essentially was put on like the players at the table now. And so I was like, I don't want to run this. My players aren't going to want to play this. So I moved on.
Nerd.
Hi, Hunter. Are you done with your stream, or are you just hopping into my chat real quick? Because I was planning on raiding you when I was done with stream today. But yeah, so I abandoned
Oh, I
that.
just ended stream.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll find someone else then. Um, but yeah, so I started looking for something else, and then I found that someone had made a D&D 5th edition version of Pokemon. Some mad lad had taken the time to create a like 5th edition compatible rule set and stats for every Pokemon that existed at the time. And like a whole player's handbook, multiple quote unquote monster manuals for all the different generations of Pokemon. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And so I was like, well, perfect. Like, I won't have to relearn a system. I can just adapt this. And then I did the thing that I always do when I get into something and I want to start customizing it. I go maybe not too far, but definitely further than I think a lot of other people would for things. Anytime I get into something, I'm like already like it starts creating ideas for me, and I'm like, oh, what would be cool if it was like this or like this or like that. So I found Pokemon 5th edition, and when I started to want to like when I started to get things together to run a game, I was like, most people would see this, and if they want to run it, they would just pick their favorite region, and the Pokemon that they want, or the Pokemon from that region, and get some players together, have them make their characters, and then play in that region, right? I decided to make my own region, like completely from scratch. So I did. I made a whole region with lore and a map, and I think around 70 to 80 original Pokemon, and then, a large list of pre-existing Pokemon that would exist in the region, on top of regional forms for existing Pokemon, and some new evolutions for Pokemon, as well as an original, I just call it a gimmick, because I know, like the last couple generations have had, like, the region has had a specific gimmick. So like what I mean by that is in Sun and Moon you had Mega Evolution. In Sword and Shield, you had the Dynamaxing. So things like that, right? These new concepts that are introduced as like special ways of fighting. So I made one of those as well, and then had to adapt, a bunch of different Pokemon to that as well, and make specific stats for that. Making stats for all the original Pokemon that I made. I spent all of this time and effort doing all of this over the course of around 8 to 9 months, and working on it like at least a little bit every single day for that length of time. I'm also an illustrator, so of course I had to draw all of my new Pokemon, as well as the new evolutions that I created, as well as art for Pokemon under the effects of the new gimmick that I had created, as well as, of course, NPCs that were going to be appearing in my new region, like all of the gym leaders and the Elite Four, and team members, and of course coming up with a villainous team, all of that. And on top of doing all of that work and getting preparation for a game, I was really specific on the players that I wanted in the game, in that I wanted at least one person who had played tabletops before and was also familiar with Pokemon. I wanted one person who had played tabletops before, but maybe wasn't necessarily familiar with Pokemon. I wanted someone who was familiar with Pokemon, but not with tabletop gaming. And then I wanted someone who wasn't familiar with either of these things. So I was very specific in my player choices, which also took an amount of time, but I did find people to fit all of those slots. And the reason I was so specific with my choices was because when I finally decided that everything was ready and the game was going to start, it was going to be on Twitch. Well before, obviously, like I started this channel, I was like, we're going to do this game, I'm going to introduce all this stuff, and we're going to stream it on Twitch. So not only was I trying to find people who fit those categories and were willing to play the game, but were willing/able to play the game live on Twitch. So I designed it like I was making the next generation of Pokemon games. I gave it a specific name with, 2 different variations. I made a Twitter for it. I made a Facebook page for it. I made a Patreon for it. I made the Twitch channel for it. Obviously, like a business email for it, in the eventuality that maybe it got very successful on Twitch and I needed to be business-like about it. I made up all of the streaming elements for it. And after all of this work, like I said, over the course of almost a year working on this daily, and also doing basically all of this work by myself, the creator of Pokemon 5th Edition posted on the subreddit and said, hey guys, I have gotten a cease and desist order from both the Pokemon Company and Wizards of the Coast, which is the company that creates Dungeons and Dragons. And they've essentially told me to stop, or else there would be legal action. And, this guy's just a dude. Yeah. Yeah, like, it got popular enough to where, like, Daddy was like, hey, quit. And so he said, he's like, I'm just a guy. I'm not fighting any of this. I don't even have a leg to stand on. Like, it's 2 different intellectual properties that are trademarked and copyrighted out the ass, and I just slammed them together, and now both of them are telling me to stop. So he said he was removing all of the content from the internet and asked anyone who was making essentially content for it, in terms of like, they were like, if you're doing a YouTube channel or a podcast or a Twitch stream about Pokemon 5th Edition, I ask you to stop, because it could get both me and you in actual legal trouble. So, like, literally a week or 2 before this huge project of mine was going to launch, it was all for nothing. And that really sucked. It wasn't like 100% completed. There's still stuff that needed to be done, but like this whole goal of mine was just instantly dead. Now again, and as everyone has told me when I tell them this, yes, like I kept everything. I didn't go nuclear and just delete the whole thing.
That is quite literally the kick in the balls.
Yeah, sure fucking was. But I still have all of my content. Everything I created for it still exists. And yes, I can still do it as a home game, which I do plan on doing at some point. I just can't, as far as I'm aware, stream it on Twitch. I can play it with my friends, but I can't do anything with it. And so that kind of sucks, but as long as a couple people get to enjoy it, then I'm not going to be, super upset about it. I am gonna. We will get to the thing that is we'll get to this here in a second. The one thing from it that I am going to show you guys real quick, because I'm very proud of how it turned out, is the map that I made for it. Let's see, pictures, Pokemans. Nope, that's. Oh yeah, I was in the process of making like an actual, like sprite-based map of like. So I made like the regional map, but then I was, doing pixel art on like, each individual like it was a game, for, because again it was, you know, if it was just a home game I wouldn't go that far, but since I was planning on doing it on Twitch, which is a visual medium, you know, I was going to show where they were at all times. So that was a lot of effort too. Wow, what a chunk. Fit to screen. There it is. The Artura region. It was my whole thing, the region and like the flavor of it and a lot of the Pokemon. It was all based on New Zealand. A lot of their folklore and like this region itself is like a very specific part of the country, between their like two major islands. So yeah, that all this everything had plot points. I knew who was where, you know, the gyms that existed, this area. I don't actually know if you guys can see my mouse. I don't think you can. But the region with the big number 2 on it, this was basically like the wild area, like that exists in Sword and Shield. I had, like I said, like I had all the gym leaders, all the Elite Four, post-game content. I had the gym leaders set up to where, since it, you know, I did have to keep in mind that this was going to be a tabletop game, not a video game. You know, I had the gym leaders set up to where they had different teams or like different levels of Pokemon, depending on how many badges you had when you faced them. Because, you know, obviously in a video game you're railroaded into proceeding through the game in a very specific way. But this is a tabletop. I could start the players up here in Ani Town, which is where they start, and they should go to the right. But there's literally nothing stopping them from just getting on a boat and going in the opposite direction, or just skipping through everything and doing nothing in like the gyms that may be here or here, and like going right to a different city that like in the video game would have been like the 3rd or 4th gym, but maybe they made it their 1st gym. So I like their a gym leader's teams were based on the amount of badges that the party would have whenever they fought them. I made a whole like
I have to go.
Oh, okay, buddy. Thanks for sticking around.
Good night.
Good having you here. Good night. Auf Wiedersehen. That's German for goodbye or something. Yeah, I coded an entire spreadsheet to, like I listed all of the Pokemon that were going to be in the region, by, and then like, basically made a link of like where they would appear in terms of like grassland or field or mountain or, you know, like all that sort of stuff. And then coded a essentially like a random generator for like for random encounters, so I didn't have to like literally do it randomly and like look through a list or even like reference a table. I could just hit a button and it would just pop out like a handful of Pokemon that would be there. So yeah, it was a lot of work. And I still, like I said, I still plan on doing like a home game with it. But yeah, that's the region, and that's what I was doing. So, explanation of all of that to get to basically what I'm doing today for content. why I have this type charting pulled up here. This was actually something recent. This wasn't a design that I was doing while I was making the game, but I've always thought that the Pokemon series would benefit from having a new typing of the light type as a foil to the dark type. Because again, like the dark type actually in Japanese is the evil type. But that was, I guess too adult, I suppose, of a concept for a children's series here in English-speaking country, so they changed it to dark. But yeah, I basically wanted a foil of that, so I made the light type. And here we are with it. Similar to fairy typing, but still different. Again, so a lot of dark type Pokemon, represent, evil things. And so I wanted the light type to represent more like celestial type stuff. And things of that nature, like justice and judgment and things like that. So offensively speaking, the light type is not very effective against electric, fairy, and light itself, but is super effective against essentially those typings that it's effective against the things that are unnatural, corruptive, evil, dark, things like that. So it's super effective against poison, psychic, ghost, and dark.
When AFK to feed pets and get food.
You went at I'm not explaining everything again. If you want to know what you missed, VOD's gonna come out tomorrow at 10 a.m. Go watch it. Come on. There we go. Yeah, so it's super effective against poison, psychic, ghost, and of course dark. Defensively,
Not what I was saying, more just meant hey, I'm back.
Well, then aren't I an asshole? Yeah, so it defensively, electric is also not very effective against it. Same with poison and psychic.
You are what you
fairy
eat,
and light.
Jerry.
Oh, like the Jerry Springer show. Dude, TTS, the text to speech that you guys are hearing, sometimes just throws me so much because I'm like, why is Gumber just saying Jerry over and over? But I got it. Yeah, so although light is super effective against ghost and dark, the opposite is true as well. Both ghost and dark are super effective against it. So overall, it's a strong typing. In that more so offensively, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's got 4 things that it is. There's 4 types that are weak to light, and but 3 types that are resisted. And it has 5 resistances, and 2 weaknesses. So it's a relatively strong typing, but I think the strengths balance out well enough. And of course, so there's 12 both offensively and defensively that are neutral, and no immunities, which did change recently. I actually had, in the initial draft, I had
Yes.
12 types that are neutral and no immunities. Ghost used to be, or light used to be immune to ghost, but I changed it for just for balancing. I felt like that was too much. So anyways, that's the light type. That's a new one I came up with. But the other thing I wanted to do today, for the potentiality of me running my game, is, and just for fun, I wanted to take a look at some types that are not good.
Oh, I may be onto a winner here. Apparently my daughter wants to watch Halloween. Yes, child.
You said she's 2, right? It's been a long time since I've seen the original Halloween. If also that's the one you mean, and not the
Yes.
the recent one by Rob Zombie. So here's the gamble you take, right? With a 2-year-old is like, okay, if I show them something like that, either they're going to be so young that anything that may happen in it, they're just going to fucking forget. I have like one memory from when I was that old. On the other hand, there's also, of course, the potential that if that one scary thing, if one thing happens that they
Not the
find
original.
scary.
She
The original,
actually
okay.
loves Michael. She definitely came from my ball sack.
My and again, like, I'm not trying to scare you, but like my personal, like, this is my debate, right? Is like, either she's so young that anything that happens isn't going to matter. She's 2 years old. She's not going to remember, or she's going to remember for the rest of her life. it's really one or the other. Like, very few times have I heard someone say like, yeah, something like, I watched something when I was a kid that really, really scared me, and I was terrified of it until I was like 10, and then I just kind of got over it. Like, there's a few things like that, right? Like I can think of a couple things that I was terrified of as a child, but then eventually I was just like, you know what? That's really stupid, and I'm not afraid of that anymore, because I realized that being afraid of it was stupid. But sometimes there's just those things that you're like, yeah, I know it's dumb to be scared of it or afraid of it, but like, I just am, and there's no controlling that. But like I said, I don't
Oh,
really
I grew up
think
on horror. If she's happy, then I'm happy. Obviously I have my limits, but the original Halloween isn't too bad at all.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna get at. Is like the original Halloween really isn't terrible. Like you know, you're not having her watch like Human Centipede or like House of a Thousand Corpses. Like it's the original Halloween. Like a couple people get stabbed, and I think that's like the worst of it. So I think you're fine. I would give you the green light. But I'm not you. I'm not your wife. Your partner,
If she
whatever.
wanted Cannibal Holocaust, then I'd say no, haha.
Why though? Can it really be that? But show her Bone Tomahawk and then see how she does. then do Halloween, in that order. Yeah, I think the original Halloween would be fine. I would probably like keeping it with 80s movies. I would say like Halloween would be fine. Maybe even the original Friday the 13th. I would probably draw the line at like I about said Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't remember the original too much, but I would think that would probably be stretching it. And again, it's just me personally. You're your own parent. You do whatever the fuck you guys think is right.
She likes Jaws too, which is good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if she can watch that, then that's fine. Because so the other possibility too is that like you can be terrified of something but still love watching it. My partner Mana, for example, she is terrified of dinosaurs, absolutely loves Jurassic Park. Like has no problem with it, but like is scared of them. And I think Jaws was the same thing. Actually, hold on a second. Mana! Mana!
Hey, why?
Hey. Yeah. Quick question. You're not on screen or anything. What's the thing with Jurassic Park again? So we're talking about, because one of my guys is like debating on whether to let his 2-year-old watch the original Halloween movie. And so like I remembered that like you said something along the lines of like dinosaurs terrify you, but you love Jurassic Park.
So to explain that a bit, when I was a kid, I was not afraid at all growing up of the Jurassic Park movies. However, when I got older and sat down and watched the third one, I don't know what changed. I was terrified. Don't know why. Don't know if it was just like the directive style that they went with it and the writing and the way that they did the production and shot everything. Like, I don't know what changed in the original 3, but like 3 terrified me. Had zero right to terrify me. Still had the same campy effects that the first 2 did.
They asked if it was because of the acting or the story.
Cost 3 did suck a bit.
Legitimately, I don't know what it was. And it wasn't like, oh my god,
I agree.
this writing is so bad. No, like,
no,
I was
afraid. It was
like,
a joke because of just how terrible 3 is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna debate that. Which is sad given the dinosaur that it featured.
Don't you? Do you have a thing with Jaws as well? That you won't watch that? Is that one that you're scared of?
So with Jaws, I don't.
One SEC.
Like I've seen it, but I don't like to watch it because it's essentially suspense horror, and I don't do suspense horror. I hate it. Like I can do body horror and like gore.
Just like gore and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
can do blood and gore. Like that doesn't fucking faze me. But like if it's a suspense, I'm done. I'm out. I don't do that shit. I have enough anxiety as it is. I don't need a movie to give me more anxiety.
Did she cry?
How did you feel about the pier scene in Fallen Kingdom?
Oh, I ugly cried. I absolutely ugly cried.
That was right there. Like, did she cry?
Yeah, no, ugly cried. Absolutely ugly cried. It broke my fucking heart. Like, my friend Becky and I went and saw it together. I'm pretty sure. It was either her and me or another friend and I. Like, we went and saw it together, and we saw it and I think something else, like, back to back. And, like, we just ugly cried. Like, we were both ugly crying. We're like, why didn't you go back? Like, why didn't you get it on the boat? It was right there! We were not okay. Like, yeah, sure, grab all the ones with the pointy fucking teeth. I know that's the point of the movie. Like, grab all the ones that can murder you. Like, will actively try to murder you.
Like
Not
bitch.
the peaceful herbivore that's basically a giant goddamn puppy that eats leaves from the top of a tree.
Yeah, they're saying they cried too.
No, grab the fucking Velociraptor and T-Rex that will, at first chance, bite you in half and say, that snack is delicious. Where's the other half? Sorry. That was a rant.
No, you're good. I asked. That's why I called you in.
Like, I don't expect the new one to come out to be super
I can
great.
feel the pain in her voice.
Because of, I've already seen the name of one of the raptors in the movie. And it's just like, guys, you had the Indominus in the first one, and then I forget the fucking dumbass name you gave the second one.
Hey, while I got you, can you do me a...
I'm not getting you a drink.
Oh, okay.
You can get that yourself.
Okay, I thought I'd try.
But I am looking forward to 3, though. I'm thinking the writing is going to be moderately okay. Just because, like, they're bringing the original 3 back from the first Jurassic Park together.
Whip sound.
So that's going to be fun. Also, fun fact for people who've seen the original 1993 Jurassic Park. The scene where the T-Rex breaks the glass, those screams are real. That was not scripted. The animatronic literally broke the glass in the sunroof of the Jeep. And those screams from the children were 100% authentic. So there's that knowledge.
Yeah.
Has chat said anything about that?
No, not yet. Well, thank you very much,
You're
Siri.
welcome.
I couldn't remember specifically what it was, so
Tim
thank
should
you.
have died.
Also, can we take a minute?
Tim should have died.
Yeah, he should have.
I don't know.
He had zero right to be alive at the end of that movie. I don't know how the fuck he got through other than plot armor. Also, food for thought. And just imagine this, if you will. A giant mosasaur just roaming the fucking ocean. I'm good. Have fun.
Okay. That's mana, everybody.
Stupid ass wasting time on the fence.
So I would say, so my example of, I was terrified of it as a kid, terrified of it for a while, and then I just got over it. Skeletons, just kind of in general, I was scared of them for a while. Specifically speaking, though, the Terminator, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the T-800, the robotic skeletal figure, really fucking terrified me. And maybe this was the blossoming beginnings of my anxiety disorder, or maybe this is normal. I don't fucking know. But almost every time I was in the shower for years, I was terrified of the T-800, like, coming in, because I'm a dude. Like,
I think the only thing that scared me as a kid was I watched Piranha one night and went swimming the next day. I was scared shitless.
yeah, that'll probably do it too. I'm, and even still, like, I have a slight fear of robots, because it's not the fear of robots that I think a lot of people think of when they think of that, of like, oh, of them, like, the fear isn't the concept of them becoming sentient or anything like that. It's further down that line. It's, I'm afraid of robots. The specific situation of me fighting a killer robot because they don't feel pain, and anything you do, like, if you don't have a gun, like, if you don't have any sort of weapon, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can't punch it, you can't hit it. Like, it's fucking metal. You're just gonna break your goddamn hand. Ooh, I'll tell you the movie that I love watching now, and even when I was young and I watched it, I loved it, but I still, every once in a while, will have nightmares about is this shitty, I think it was like a 1996 movie called Virus. They played it a lot on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. Do you know which one I'm talking about? 1999. Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. This movie fucking terrified me. Like, the body horror in it, and just the giant robot, like, at the end. Hello? Oh, he's Kitty. The big, like, robot at the end. 'Cause, like, what the fuck are you gonna do against that thing? You can't, like, just this giant, lumbering, screaming robot coming at you, and there's nothing you can do. There's literally nothing besides what they did, which was blow up the entire fucking boat. I love this movie. I'll watch it every once in a while, but it is so scary. It is, the concepts in it are so terrifying.
Haven't seen it all the way through. Event Horizon is a great movie if you haven't
Oh
seen
my
it.
god, I love Event Horizon. That one, I will say, and I didn't see Event Horizon until just a couple of years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, which I'm happy about, because I could definitely see that being like this movie, where, like, if I had seen it young enough, yeah, that definitely would have, like, thrown me for a loop. But I loved it. I love existential horror. I love sci-fi. I love space and like astronomy and everything. And so, like, the horror aspect of all of those things, I absolutely love as well. So, Event Horizon, absolutely love that movie. I especially love watching it with the idea that a couple people have theorized that it's actually a prequel to Warhammer 40K, because a lot of the concepts in both of those in both of those universes are very similar.
If you want to watch a funny as shit movie, watch one called Brain Dead.
Brain Dead? First of all, if I look it up on Google Images, am I gonna get banned? let me see if let me turn Safe Search on. Okay, Safe Search is on. Brain Dead? Wow. That looks like so much fun. I'm already interested in it just from that. Oh, please tell me that's streaming on something that I have. It's by Peter Jackson? Hold on. Why are you bringing up something for... That's stupid. Oh, I don't know if that's an alternative cover or not. 1992 New Zealand zombie comedy film.
Also of stream, there's one called Bunny the Killer Thing. Check out the trailer, but off stream, it's fantastic.
Okay. Bunny the Killer. Okay, I'll have to make a note of that because I forget things very easily. Actually, I'll pull it up on my YouTube. Bunny the Killer Thing. Ooh. Wow, the whole movie's up on YouTube. Add to watch later. I know what I'm doing at work tomorrow. Okay, so if this is the same film you're talking about, yeah, directed by Peter Jackson. Wow. All right, skipping over the plot. Don't want to see.
Yeah, that's the one, man.
Okay. Brain dead. Okay, so it's one word. Okay, this is also just on YouTube. Great. All right, well, I got some shit to watch tomorrow. What else? What other good, like, kind of low budget horror movies? Because I'm the same. Like, I really like... Ooh! Oh my god! If you're a horror fan, please tell me...
House Shark.
House Shark? I swear to fucking God. Let me take a brief tangent to discuss bad horror.
The trailer is amazing.
I can only watch bad horror if I'm with other people and or hi. I still can't do this cringy stuff if I'm just like I won't put on this shit just like for me and sit down and watch it. You know, this like Sharknado, all that sort of stuff. Like if I'm with friends and we're all sitting and laughing at it, okay. But I'm not gonna just do it myself. It hurts too much. Like all of those like sci-fi original films, like I can't do. Like it's not entertaining. It just hurts. But if I'm with people, completely fine. We'll sit and laugh at it together. What I was going to ask. If you're a horror buff, I'm guessing you have likely heard of this. So outside of my friend circle, I don't know how like esoteric this movie is. Have you ever seen Grave Encounters?
Oh, never ever search Pokemon parodies. I found one called Strokeman.
Oh. Well, this is the film. Can't get a good pic. Okay.
I haven't, dude.
Okay, here's the thing. My friend and I originally found this film years ago. Oh right, I forgot my cat's in here. to tell you how long ago, this was when Netflix still had the star ratings. And I think we were likely, I think, still in high school, maybe in college. Actually, it came out in 2011, so we were in college. Anyways, it was late one night, and we were browsing Netflix to intentionally find bad horror movies to watch and to laugh at. And so, doing so, we came across this like 2, maybe 2.5 star horror movie called Grave Encounters. That, I mean, you can kind of tell, like, from the cover and everything, like, kind of looks like shit. Well, that didn't fucking work. Well, anyways, it looked like crap, right? It looked like a bad parody. And we started watching it, and again, for the first little bit, we were kind of laughing at it because it's very much a parody of Zach Baggins and the paranormal. What's that show called? Hold on. What's the fucking show called? Ghost Adventures. It's a kind of parody on that. You know, I actually haven't ever seen that, but I have been to Devil's Tower, the big mountain with like the like lines marked across it. I've actually been there before. It's super cool. But anyways, so we started watching it and we were laughing at it. And then the movie just...
Oh, sorry, I thought that's what you were trying to remember.
Oh, no. Yeah, so this guy, Zach Baggins, he's a quote-unquote paranormal investigator. And so, like, him and his team have this show, Ghost Adventures, that came out around the same time as Ghost Hunters, you know, kind of capitalizing on that whole thing. But what I really don't like about this guy, because, like, so for a time of my life, I was also a paranormal investigator, in a semi-official sense. You know, most of it was just me and my friends going around and doing it professionally, like, not as a joke, but like my friends and I going to, you know, public places where, you know, we would have access and doing investigations. A friend, my father and I actually joined a local paranormal investigation team and went on official things. My dad and I investigated a place that Ghost Hunters did on their show by ourselves, and that was super interesting. So I got really into it. And I just hate how this guy and his team do it. I hate how they do their investigations. I hate their TV show because they make such, like, bold and, like, factual claims that I hate this guy. So watching Grave Encounters was really fun because one of the main characters in it is basically a parody, like, of this guy. But it's, dude, if you can... I don't think it's streaming on many things anymore. It's definitely not... The first one isn't on Netflix anymore. However, if you can find this... Okay, so it's on... Is it on Tubi? It is. So I don't know if you know about Tubi, but it's a free streaming service. It has ads, which is why it's free. But, like, it is free. Everything on it is free. Go to Tubi, make an account, download it, whatever you need to do. Seriously, like, if you like horror movies, watch Grave Encounters. It is so good. It has a sequel, which it isn't as good because it's very similar, and so, you know, a lot of the beats kind of don't hit as much as the first one. But I will say, if you watch Grave Encounters and you do like it, I do suggest giving Grave Encounters 2 a watch as well. But yeah, I always recommend this movie to people. It became one of my instant favorite horror movies. I absolutely love it. Yeah, so that's as much as I'll say. Or I guess also if you have Pluto TV or Vudu or Crackle or Plex, apparently it's free on all of these things. If you have Fubo TV, I mean, you can read. Yeah, I definitely suggest looking up Grave Encounters. I don't want to say anything about it. Again, besides the fact that like the main character is a parody of this other dude. But yeah, high suggestion for that if you're a horror fan.
I like finding some underrated gems.
Right? That's what I like doing. Like I said, that's what we were doing that day, is just looking for the lower rated stuff and just seeing. I'm also very much into anime, and so like one of my favorite times of my life was a friend and I, a different friend than the one that I watched this with. The thing that we would do like every week was we would go to a local resale shop, and we would find those like short anime series where like the entire series was just like one season of like anywhere from 10 to maybe 15 or 16 episodes, where you could buy the entire thing in one box. It cost maybe $20. We would split it. We'd go back, watch the entire thing, or as much as we liked, and then like return it the next week, get the store credit, get something else. So we watched a ton of different anime that way. And I really miss doing that, because same thing, like we found a lot of really good hidden gems, stuff that I still remember to this day doing it. Also found a lot of trash. The worst anime I've ever seen was how was found that way. So bad actually that we literally burnt it. we set the discs and the packaging on fire. So yeah, that was a really fun time of discovering lots of different stuff like that. Oh my god, first of all completely forgot we were doing Pokemon stuff.
Your displeasure.
To be fair, the main reason we did that is because one, it was that bad, but two, at the time we were actually on vacation, and we were at my grandfather's farmhouse, and so like it was isolated. It was way out in the country, so they didn't have trash pickup, so you had to burn your trash. And so we just on one of the days where they were doing a trash burn, we just went ahead and tossed it in there. Hello, Winter Bean. Cat. Hi. Hello. Oh, sniff. Give sniff. Oh no. What are you whining about? Your difficult life? It's so rough, isn't it? It's so rough.
That's a good-looking pussy.
Thanks. Huppupy. Alright, I'll let you go. She is such a brat. But she acts like a princess because I treat her like one. Oh, this is one. What the fuck was I saying? I don't remember. I don't think it was important. But yeah, anime and horror movies. Horror anime is great. I don't know if you're into anime or not, but if you're not, but you are a fan of horror and would like to attempt to bridge the two, there's an anime called Elfen Lied, Lied, that I really suggest. It's another like short series. It's only like 10 or 12 episodes, the entire series. And it's a pretty good mix of horror and not. It's another one of those, like, yes, anime is technically speaking cartoons, but I would not let your daughter watch this.
I currently have 3 anime series I enjoy. Akira and Pat Labor and Ghost in the Shell.
I still haven't sat down and watched Akira. Always heard of Pat Labor, but haven't watched it. And I never saw... I haven't seen the original Ghost in the Shell film. I watched Standalone Complex when it played on Cartoon Network or / Adult Swim. I didn't like it at the time. Although I watched it almost every time it was on. But I think that was just because I didn't get into it at the beginning, so I was like confused by a lot of it. And it is a very, like, it's, you know, it has its action and everything, but it isn't super kid friendly in that, you know, like a lot of the themes are complicated and the things that happen in it are explained in it. It's a very complex series as it stands alone. Yeah, I don't really have recommendations for anime, like, in general. But again, if you like horror, Elfen Lied's a good one. If you haven't seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, it is horror, but it's much more... It's so much more like existential horror, and I mean, look, like, one of the questions that comes up is like, is Neon Genesis Evangelion depressing? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is. So, yeah, but that's Evangelion is definitely a suggestion. I don't know. Fish. That's a fish. That's also a fish. That's a clownfish. That's a betta fish. That's a porgy. Oh my god, have you ever seen the scrungle? What is this thing called? A dongfish? There's this... Dude, I love this picture so fucking much. See, am I in the way? I'm not. Well, these things are. The horngus of a dongfish is attached by a scungule to a kind of dill sack. The nut sack. Why? Why? The rim flap of a bongfish is mated to the bungus of its... This is fake. That's gotta be fake. What the fuck am I doing? Hey, remember when we were talking about Pokemon types? All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this real quick. Well, not real quick, but I'm gonna do this type thing, and then we'll. I actually need to edit the title of the stream because we're not. Oh no, I don't. Because I probably won't be doing any Pokemon Blue tonight. Boy, we went on a tangent there, didn't we? So one of the things I wanted to do real quick is take two particular Pokemon types and potentially change some things to make them a little more viable, because currently the grass and the bug type fucking suck. So what can we do to make them better? Well, first of all, let's enable editing of existing types. All right, so let's look at grass real quick, okay? Well, let's disable the editing real quick so I can just do this. So grass. Let's see, where is it? Offensively, or no, defensively, 4 things resist it. Or I'm sorry, hold on. I'm getting messed up. First 2 times fixed grass. Water resists. Okay. So currently only 4 things are not very effective against grass, and 5 things are super effective against it. Defensively, wait a minute, hold on. I'm stupid. Whatever. 7 things resist grass, and only 3 types are weak to it. So it sucks. Fire, grass, poison, flying, bug, dragon, and steel all resist grass. Grass is only super effective against water, ground, and rock. And so again, there are 4 types that are not very effective against it, but there are 5 types that are super effective against grass. Fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug. The only ones that it resists are water, electric, grass, and ground. So what can we do about that? So I understand it though, right? So like all of those decisions I can understand. You know, grass not being very effective against fire, of course. It being super effective against water. Again, it's like, you know, okay, because grass absorbs water, and it's one of those ones that's kind of fumbly, but they clearly put in just for balancing. You know, for when the game started, because you always choose between a fire, water, or grass type, so they had to balance it, you know, between those 3. So they were like, well, grass has to be super effective against something, and it's definitely not fire, so I guess water. Grass resisting itself. Okay. Pretty sure every single type does that. Grass not being effective against poison. Because same kind of thing. Poison kills wildlife and plant life. It being super effective against ground and rock makes sense. You always see plants and greenery, pushing through like concrete and rock and stone and things like that. So that makes sense. Not being very effective against flying. Flying creatures aren't on the ground usually and eat green. So maybe with that. Bug, kind of the same thing. Bugs eat plants. So that's that. Not effective against dragon was just basically made to be a super typing, so of course. Steel. Steel, I think, is where we may change it. Steel may be one of those things we change. So it's not very effective against steel. Again, I guess the reasoning was just to both power the steel typing, because it is a great type, and because you don't generally think of grass, harming or breaking metal. However, almost any time you do see grass, you do see plant life overgrowing on things, it grows over metal. I got a fucking shed out back that's made of aluminum and has ivy crawling all over it. So okay, let's start here. We have a starting point. So I'm not going to make grass super effective against steel. I think I'm just going to make it normal. It's going to be neutral against steel. So that's going to already take away one type resistant to grass, which is a start. Let's look at some other types that are neutral that maybe we can touch on. Normal, not really going to touch. Electric. It's neutral right now, but I think I can see grass resisting electric, right? Because Winter, down, young lady. Sorry, she's up on something she really shouldn't be. Down. Hold on, let me let her out. The door's closed. Okay. I think grass should resist electric. I think grass is close enough to ground to justify it. And I think it would help. It would. I think grass resisting electric would really help its viability. And because again, yeah, I guess electricity can, burn the grass away if given enough, but I think it would be helpful, but I don't think I can do it because I'm thinking of when lightning strikes a tree, it really kind of fucks it up. But it can the tree can still come back from it sometimes if it doesn't completely kill it. So okay, so we'll keep electric and grass neutral. Ice. I almost, so again, it's you could say, ice doesn't really do anything to it, but also like frost, like a heavy frost usually can like kill grass and plants. So, and also ice doesn't need anything else against it. It's also a pretty shit type. Grass and fighting, again, not really much of anything there. Grass not being very effective against poison. But how does poison do to grass? So poison is super effective against grass, which I don't really agree with. So I understand their interactions, but I don't know if I want to change it. Because I get it too. Again, because poison just almost always kills plant life, right? Like there isn't really plants that absorb poisons. Is that a thing? Yeah. Yeah, because they can help clean the air and everything. So I think... Okay.
Apologies, man, I am here. Just trying to get daughter back to sleep.
You're good. You're good. You're good. All right, so here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm fine with poison still being super effective against grass, but I'm gonna take away grass's ineffectiveness against poison and just make it neutral. It being super effective against ground is fine. The flying I also don't really get. Pokemon. Well, let me see if flying is super effective against grass. Flying super effective against grass. Why, though? Pokemon, why flying super effective to grass? So, again, the bug I get because birds eat bugs. Them beaks hurt, bro. Birds eat bugs. Bugs live in grass. Birds eat both plants and bugs. Also because plants can be uprooted by storm. Well, these are just people's opinions. Yeah, it's not strong enough of an argument for me. So kind of the same thing. I don't think I'm going to take away this so that grass is neutral against flying, and flying doesn't have the resistance to grass. Grass and psychic, fine. Grass and bug. Grass not being super effective against bugs. Here's my conundrum with it. I agree with it. And the other thing that we're going to be doing is increasing bugs' viability. So here's my thing. I get bugs eat plants. But there are some plants that eat bugs. Which is why I think as a whole, because like grass and bug are also very similar in typing. I don't think they should do anything to each other. Like I said, I get bugs eat plants, but there are plants that eat bugs. So I think both of them will be neutral to each other. So I'm going to change that again to a neutral thing. Super effective against rock is fine. No interaction with ghost. The dragon basically just has to stay because of how the dragon type works. No interaction with dark. We changed the steel. How does fairy deal with grass? It's neutral. I almost want to change that. Not to say grass changes any effectiveness towards fairy, but I think fairy's effectiveness towards grass should be made into a resistance. Because so the whole thing about the fairy typing is that they're, generally speaking, like they're good, they're cute, and most of the time there's some sort of nature or spirit I think we'll leave it. And you know, with my light typing, there's no interaction there either. All right, so already, just that little bit of offensive balancing has already put it at to where it is now basically balanced. There's 3 types that resist grass, and grass is also weak to 3 types. Or I'm sorry, three types are weak to grass, and 3 types resist grass, and 13 neutral, with no immunities. And I think that is a lot better. It still doesn't make it a great type, but it definitely extends its viability a lot more. Because I don't really see it being super effective against anything else. Right? So that's offensive. Let's look defensive. Defensive, it's stacked, right? It resists 4, but it's vulnerable to 5. So it's vulnerable to fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug. So let's change some of that. Fire for sure. Ice. Ice, I think I'm also okay keeping, mostly because, like I said, ice just needs all the help it can get. And again, I understand, because basically everywhere on Earth that we see with Arctic conditions, there just isn't plant life. You know, like plant life can exist almost anywhere and resist a lot of different things, but the cold doesn't seem to be one of those. So I'm okay with the ice. Poison, I like I said, I'm okay with it because I still get it. And but the flying, I think I'm going to take away. It's just going to be neutral. I think they're neutral to each other. And there's that. And then same thing with bug, I think. Yeah. Because it's my opinion on the interaction between bug and grass is that either they're both super effective against each other, or it's neutral. Or they resist each other. Maybe we'll do that. Okay, so now, defensively, there are 4 types not very effective against it, and only 3 types super effective against it. Which I think also helps it a lot. So so neutral to 12, and then 13, so 3 and 3, and 4 and 3. Okay. I am much more happier with grass that way than what it was. So grass only has to really worry about water, or I'm sorry, fire. Hold on, sorry. Grass only has to worry about fire, ice, and poison, which I think is pretty fair. Honestly, the one of the things that I'm surprised doesn't have a super effectiveness against grass, although again I understand because of the concept, is normal. Because if you look at most of the normal types, they're all like what makes a normal type is basically that they're just an animal without any sort of like elemental alignment. And basically almost every, like most animals, especially the ones that are in the normal category, are like herbivores. So but anyway, normal is usually left alone. Okay, so I like grass where it's at with that. So moving on to the other one that I wanted to look at, bug. So obviously the grass thing has changed, but so if we look offensively, 7 types resist bug. There are only 2 types that is weak to bug. And alternatively, defensively, only 2 types resist it. Or bug only resists 2 types, and yet there's 3 types that are super effective against it. So that needs to fucking change. That's goddamn ridiculous. That 7 types resist bug. So let's take a look at what they are. Fire, again, okay. Real easy to burn a bug. Fighting, I don't know. I guess it's easy to punch a bug. Poison. Flying, of course. Ghost. Steel. And fairy. That's a lot. And so here's my thing. I get that some of these are because, you know, they're thinking of, oh, bugs are tiny and easy to kill, easy to squish. They don't really affect a lot. They kind of just fly place to place, eating each other and eating plants and shit. There are so many different kind of bugs, though, that do such incredible things. And I know these typings have to be on a much more broad spectrum, and anything more specific is why you have the dual types. So I get it. Okay. So offensively, it's not very effective against fire. But I think that should change only defensively. I think like against fire, it should just be normal. I don't think there should be any interaction there. Flying, again, offensively speaking, I'll have to come back to that one. Poison, no. Like the amount of insects that use some sort of like poison or venom, absolutely not. Wait, flying. Then what was? Oh, fighting. Yeah, that's stupid too. It should just be neutral. So again, the flying, okay. Bug super effective against psychic. Okay. Ghost again is a weird like I guess, but like why? Because it's like, again, you could say like, well, it's a physical thing. Like, how would a bug fight a ghost? It's like, yeah, how would a rock fight a ghost? How would a bird fight a ghost? Why isn't flying not very effective against ghost? It's a weird line to draw, right? Bug super effective against dark, okay. Not very effective against steel. There are so many. Can bugs eat metal? Okay, well that's bacteria. So do bugs eat aluminum? Roaches can chew through aluminum foil. Again, it should just be neutral. Bug not very effective against fairy. Why? Most fairy type creatures are very bug-like. Again, I'm not saying that bugs should have an advantage over any of these, but like it shouldn't be resisted by them either. So, offensively speaking, we're now at only one type resists it, and 2 types are weak to it. So is there anything inherently that bugs should be super effective against that they're not? Did I already change the grass one? I could reinstate it. That would balance fine enough with grass's defense. Because basically, like, almost every bug, like... Okay, so first of all, I actually do think... I think bug should be super effective against bug. Because basically the entire insect kingdom just deals, like, with each other. Very few bugs are known to be, like, carnivorous, right? In terms of like they go after meat. You know what? I want bug to be super effective against normal. I think that's a huge enough change to do that. Okay, so we do need to put a couple more resistances. Because now we're unbalanced the other direction. Now there's too many things that bug is effective against. So what shouldn't bug be great at? Oh, there's water bugs. There's... We did make bug and grass neutral. Okay. Bug should not be good against ice. I think that helps balance bug and also helps with ice's viability. And I think fighting. Yeah. Bugsboro, actually, I'm gonna say rock. You don't generally speaking find bugs in, like, they don't really do a lot of damage to rocks. You find them under them, sure, like under the ground and things like that, but I think rock should resist bug. Because again, like pincers, claws, things like that can't really get into stone very well. Okay, so that puts us at 3 and 4. Okay. So now if we look defensively, 4 types are super effective against it, and only 2 types. Bug only resists 2 types. So again, fire is super effective against bug. Okay. So is flying. So is bug, which was the change we just made. And rock is super effective against it. So here's my thing. I'm fine with rock resisting bug, but I'm not really okay with it being super effective against it. Like, again, I get it. No, because you do... There are plenty of bugs that can... what do I want to do with that? I don't know. I'm going to take it away for now, but we'll see. And then not really much else with these, which makes sense. Not that dragon really needs any help, but... What if we just left it there? Didn't mean to do that. 2 and 3. Still leaves. It only resists 2 types, and is weak to 3. So I want it to resist something. I want something to not be effective against bug. I don't want it to be grass because we just did that. Actually, yeah, let's do poison. Poison isn't very effective against bug. I think that makes sense. Bugs exist in almost every fucking environment. I'm fine with the flying, because that helps flying's viability. Bug and bug is fine. Okay. I with it being balanced 3 to 3, I think we'll leave it. Okay, so bug is now only 3 types resist it, and it's super effective against 4 types. And then 3 types are not effective against it. And bug is weak to 3 types. I think that's pretty well balanced. I think that kind of neutralizes a lot of other things. Right? Okay. 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 All right. All right. I kind of like that where that's at. Okay. All right. Well. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today. Good stream today. Good stream. Talked about a lot. Again, this past weekend was real good. Had a good time. It was very successful. Schedule change is effective immediately. So we will now be streaming every day, starting at 4 p.m. Central Time. And we will see how long that lasts. We'll see how it goes. Because I definitely wanted to stream more. So I will say, like I said, we'll see how long it lasts. I'm kind of just tossing a wide net, and we'll see how it goes. At least for this first week, right? I'll give it a week. And if by the end of it, I'm really like, wow, that is actually way too much, then we'll maybe scale it back a little bit. Maybe go to like 5 days or something. But we'll see. Definitely with the schedule being that way, I'm almost guaranteeing you'll be seeing a lot more of these types of streams where I'm just sitting here, we're just chit-chatting, shooting the shit, and doing fucking nothing. So, streaming every day now, starting at 4 Central Time. If you like the content, share the channel as much as you can. Tell your friends, your family, your dog about it. Share the links. If you miss a stream but want to see the VOD and check it out, you can obviously see it here on the Twitch channel. If it's been longer than 14 days, or you just want to support me in another fashion, go check out the YouTube channel. Give it a subscribe. Give a couple videos a like. Leave a comment. Link for it is on the channel. VODs for every stream will be up on the YouTube channel in the stream archive the following day, so tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time. Also go and like the Twitter. I think at like 15 followers now. But you'll get a lot of live updates that way. Same thing with the Facebook page. It needs a little bit of growth. I know not everyone uses Facebook.
It was fun hanging out, dude.
Aw.
Take care till next time.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm happy you were able to get your daughter to sleep. Yeah, so like I said, we'll be live tomorrow. Same time in the afternoon for me. If you want to stay updated, check out the Facebook and the Twitter. If you want to see old stuff in the stream archive, go check out the YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, guys. I absolutely appreciate everybody that was here. Anything we do, I appreciate anybody that's here. So let's actually, do I just got that? Okay, I was gonna raid, but nah. So all right, guys, that'll be it for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow, which is weird. So have fun. I love you. Be yourself. Be proud of it. Goodbye.